So today, there are two things that I want to talk about, and both of them, basically, I got my inspiration to have this discussion based on things I've just seen um, at the online job that I'm doing. And I have already, spoken about how, in the past, like I mentioned that I work with adults on one hand on, doing teaching English, and I work with kids teaching reading, right? And I've also mentioned how I was shocked that even the little children were doing strange things, basically making a lot of like strange Illuminati gestures, especially like specific kids were doing strange things. So basically, I know related to my quote unquote targeting, it's like really just very crazy. You see all the stuff that I show you receipts for. Unfortunately, working with kids, I can't like put a video, but I do know that the company records. So I really sometimes sit there and I wonder to myself, like, supposedly they're supposedly watching the teachers. Like, does anyone not watch this? Like, I've had to report some of the kids for misbehavior during the lessons, but for the most part, like I said, I just get like that sensation. I'm like, some of these kids are like the same age as my daughter, like 6 years old, up until like 10. It's not all of them, but I do feel like somehow it might just be far fetched. So either the entire company, because I don't know sometimes like who to trust, what, like you can't trust anyone anyways, because like the way this Arconic system works, they infiltrate everything. So I don't know if like the person who scheduled me the classes made sure they scheduled me classes with kids who maybe I don't know are able to be manipulated somehow their vessels, or they already kind of have some kind of parasitic spirit incarnate. I don't know how that works, okay? And I know people might feel a type of way because I'm talking about kids, and I'm a teacher. I work with kids. I have kids. I'm a mom, but I've already explained to you that the same way when these I guess these entities are in these vessels, whether they're young, they're old, whatever, okay? That doesn't mean that you look at kids as like, I will always defend kids. I like the whole reason why I even feel like sometimes getting up in the morning and like praying down the devil is because of kids, because I don't want, I like I've said in the previous videos, when you train your kids, that's going to be um those are going to be the ones who train the next generation, right? So you show them your love, you show them God's love, and you try to raise them up right. But also, another very important thing that I've taken from all of these experiences and seeing these things is like you need to pray over your kids. You need to pray over their vessels, because either there's two things going on, or they can manipulate their vessels, just like with the 6G, like what Sabrina Wallace said, they can do strange things to make kids, whatever, the ones that are not all consciously there, do whatever they want. Or you do have the same way I feel that they allowed a lot of new souls to enter into this realm to uplift the ascension process. You never know, obviously. They could release a lot of little parasitic ones into vessels around, of course, of kids and adults and everybody, so that they can also like counterbalance that. You never know. Anyways, um, besides like one that's like really rambunctious, like and it's not a far-fetched idea, because you watch the news, you hear sometimes things that sometimes these kids do, and you wonder like, oh my god, like how could a child be so like wicked to do something like that, or what, you know what I'm saying? And it's not every child, but there's some of them mixed in there. Now, did they try to purposely give me classes with like I noticed like they would like some classes had like two kids, and it's like they took one away and they kept one for certain things. I don't know. But like I said, I really feel like also that what they were doing is, or what they're doing is, like they want to test me and see which person I believe, right? Which illusion I believe more. So like I've said before, like they'll do things sometimes where I noticed that they were putting a lot of like Hispanic kids, but then I noticed like the Hispanic ones were seemingly very quiet and not doing anything. and then the other kids of the other races were like acting weird, and I thought that was interesting. I even told my kids, I'm like, why does it seem like they're trying to make one group of kids look more calm? And I feel like it's so that I trust one group more than the other. So you see, with myself, like I said, my mom is Dominican, my dad is Jamaican. So Mix just doesn't know really where to hold me. And plus, I'm in the Mediterranean, I'm in Europe, doesn't know how to, which box to fit me in. At this point, and I've said this many times, everybody around me has rewinded in every religion, every culture, every race. So I don't trust nobody, okay? I'm telling you, when I look at somebody, all I want to know is like, who's in there? That's all I care about. Who's in there? Because that you're not going to get me with that anymore. We're like way past like the physical. So I just noticed that. And then I noticed like also for other things, like when they're trying to entice certain things, or um like for example, I mean, this is another example, but it's kind of off of this topic, but like for example, like I wrote my book, all of a sudden like I got an email from someone from a book agency asking to market my book, but I didn't publish with them, and I thought that was weird. And I thought, yeah, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to dissuade you from maybe using the money that you would use maybe to do what you want to do. Like if I want to do a book trailer, I want to do like a film, so that you invest it into like marketing the conventional way that everybody tries to market their book, and they just pay a little extra to push their books a little higher in Amazon. I'm not interested in that. But they want to try to do things so if they can't stop you, they want to try to like find ways to like deter you or whatever. And then I got another email that was like from somebody, and I could tell the last name was Spanish, and it was like so bogus. I should like find the picture. I'm gonna find the picture so you can see. It was like bogus, supposedly like inviting you. They said like, oh, we saw your book and we want to invite you to be on a TV show. Like what? Like I mean, no, no, no. And you could see like the picture. They had pictures of books in the background, and they all look like AI with like different, like it was just like so like fake and phony looking, right? And I'm not interested in that. So again, back to the thing with the kids. So I noticed that they would do things like that, right? And then another thing that I noticed that they do is and this is how I feel like how these Sims that are parasitic, or the ones that are like AI-ish, with no consciousness, how they figure us out. Because imagine, let's say that I'm right, okay? And let's say that these are either AI or they are some kind of parasitic, right? And I know it sounds bad because they're in kids, but just imagine they're mixed in with kids who are children with souls and everything like that, right? What they do is like they observe the other kids. And the same way, like I've seen this in public, like I'll have my phone or my camera, like when I got my camera, I'll do something and I'll take a picture of something, and then I'll see like a Sim try to come like nearby and do something similar. They mimic us. They try to mimic what we're doing. You know what I'm trying to say? To copy us. You know how like ChatGPT and those AI apps are supposed to learn from us? It's kind of like that. It's a more sophisticated, vessel that is learning and mimicking what maybe real souled individuals do. But yeah, they do strange things, and like it'll be really coordinated. Like I'll notice, like I've taught for so long, so I know it's the same thing like with the adults. I can hear when someone does speak English and they're trying to pretend like they don't, and like talking really slow, and like because I think sometimes they do stupid things like that, like to try to see if I'm gonna like fall asleep on the call, like when I'm teaching or something. And the kids do similar things. Like they'll do things where like that they can read certain words, or they can do some things, and then all of a sudden it's like you say, okay, I said pit, and they'll just say pat. Like they were trying purposely, and I know that it's on purpose because it's not just like one class, it's like several of them will do the same exact thing. And I know it's like done sometimes to try to see like if I'm going to act out of character or if I'm going to get upset. Like at this point, I do not care. Like I will say da 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 da, and at the end of the day, I still get paid and I just do my job. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like also, like I said before, trying to be done, I think, to dissuade me from wanting to do the things that I like, which is like working with kids, and like dissuade me from just trying to drain you. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're trying to drain you and do things to upset you, to get energy any way they can. But it still just boggles my mind because, like I said, some of these kids are young and they're throwing up straight Illuminati like signs and things that you would think, like, where did you learn that from?